Mhm. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verses 11 to 20.
दिव्यमाल्याम्बरधरम् दिव्यगन्धानुलेपनम् सर्वाश्चर्यमयं देवम् अनन्तं विश्वतोमुखम् दिवि सूर्यसहस्रस्य भवेद्युगपदुत्थिता यदि भासदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः तत्रैकस्थं जगत्कृत्स्नं प्रविभक्तमनेकधा अपश्यद्देवदेवस्य शरीरे पाण्डवस्तदा ततः स विस्मयाविष्टः हृष्टरोमा धनञ्जयः प्रणम्य शिरसा देवम् कृताञ्जलिरभाषत अर्जुन उवाच पश्यामि देवांस्तव देवदेहे सर्वांस्तथा भूतविशेषसङ्घान् ब्रह्माणमीशं कमलासनस्थम् ऋषींश्च सर्वानुरगांश्च दिव्यान् अनेकबाहूदरवक्त्रनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वां सर्वतोऽनन्तरूपम् नान्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादिम् पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूप किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजोराशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तम् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम् त्वमक्षरं परमं वेदितव्यम् त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् त्वमव्ययः शाश्वतधर्मगोप्ता सनातनस्त्वं पुरुषो मतो मे अनादिमध्यान्तमनन्तवीर्यम् अनन्तबाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वां दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रम् स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम् द्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्टाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदम् लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन्।
Can't hear Janaki.
Sorry. Thank you, Shilpa. So Deepa has a question. Drona doesn't teach Ekalavya as he is not a Brahmin. Kauravas and Pandavas are Kshatriyas. Brahmins are not meant to be warriors. Why does he say that? So I think your question is, why did Drona refuse to teach Ekalavya while he was teaching Kshatriyas? That's the question, right? Okay, so the knowledge at that time, the system of knowledge at that time was a very different system of knowledge. In fact, now India is waking up to this. I see all the time in the papers, there is this thing about we must make the courses closer to employability and things like that. I don't know if you all are reading it. They have now refused to give permission for courses in for BA and things like that to make colleges in that. So now India is waking up to some facts, which is that there are different types of people, of course not woken up to the full fact, but at least to this much. Some people take up a study merely with the intention of employability. So what they require are skill sets. Okay, so they have to go into vocational guidance and all that sort of stuff. Then another kind of person are for higher roles in life. It's not because somebody else says they should be higher or lower. For instance, Ambedkar, he wrote our constitution. So nobody else needs to tell anyone whether you're meant for a higher thing or a lower thing. But the fact is, humanity can be divided into these four things. One set of people who do merely physical labor with the minimum thought. Then there is the next lot who are like artisans and, the skills that they have. They can be even engineering, not engineering maybe, but what are this? They do these diploma courses in engineering, some fixing this and something they're skilled in that, and they can be extremely good at that. It's not like that they have to be some less paid people or something. It can be incredibly skilled at that. And then there's another type who can become rulers, administrators, these kind of things. And the highest category are think tanks. Okay, so this is the kind of way people function. The largest will be unskilled, then there'll be skilled, then there'll be administrators of that, and finally there's a think tank. So now education is meant to make each person live up to their potential. Lowest are unskilled, labor, so very minimal education. Then the next lot require vocational training and things like that. Then comes the administrative sort. So in those times, it was done by the Kshatriyas. It was called so. Okay, they were meant to not only fight a war, but they were meant to understand the very mechanics of war. Like, they had to understand what is the vyuha, and remember what is vyuha? Vyuha is the arrangement of the battalions and, things like that. They had to know all that stuff. It was not just being good at being a warrior. And then, of course, there were the think tanks who were the strategy people. So education was divided like that. And so a certain type was supposed to be given education of warfare. Okay, other people were not supposed to be. They were not adhikari for it. Now, unfortunately, what happened is that this became something about your family and less about yourself. Okay, so initially, anybody could do anything they wanted. And then slowly, it just became more familial, like how today politics, anyone can join politics, right? But it's become like hereditary. Or even in the film industry, anyone can become an actor, but now it's third generation and all film industry. So these become the aristocrats of the film industry. So this thing happens. It's just how it happens sometimes. So given all that, then this poor fellow was not allowed to learn in terms of a historicity, trying to understand it from a historical perspective. But we are not history students. We are students of philosophy. Philosophy doesn't look at these texts with the understanding of trying to understand, or with the understanding of what was going on in those times. That is irrelevant to us. What is relevant to us is what is the story communicating. So what the story communicates is that here is a student who is capable of learning a knowledge without a teacher. Okay, so he doesn't have a teacher. He just makes a form of a teacher. He worships that form which he has made and teaches himself, really, with the inspiration of that form, teaches himself Dhanurvidya, teaches himself archery. Now, this is the highest caliber of a student who is able to learn without the help of a teacher. Okay, highest caliber. Now, when you're at that highest caliber of a student, what can the teacher do for you? The teacher can do two things for you. One is not help you. And second is whatever you have done on your own, direct that to self-realization. So this is what happens in the story. And forget about the historical and social background. We're talking about the allegorical background. Okay, allegories usually use social and historical backgrounds to teach their lesson, whatever their lesson is. And then here comes Ekalavya. He becomes so good at it that he is capable of being better than the great Arjuna himself. There is nothing else for him to achieve. So what is now the Guru's role in his life is to get him to realization. Ekalavya brought himself to single-pointed concentration on archery. Dronacharya, his teacher, asked for his thumb. When he asked for his thumb, he said, "Give me my Guru Dakshina," because that was the way education was given. Education in this country was never charged; it was always based on Guru Dakshina. So he came, he prostrated to his master, and his master said, "Okay, now you give me Guru Dakshina." So he said, "What can I give you?" He said, "Give me your thumb." So what is the significance of that is he's asking him to not be an archer anymore. Because, if you to pull that string, you need your thumb, otherwise you can't do this thing. So basically, you won't do this, right? Nobody will do it. Who will give up their art like this? Suppose somebody tells me, give me your brushes. Go jump. I won't do that. Any other Guru Dakshina you ask, I won't give you my brush. Right? You won't do it. Why will we not do it? Because along with that art, we also develop an attachment to it. It is us. I mean, even attachment is too weak a word. It is us. There is no division between our art and us. I mean, for that highest caliber, there is no I in that. There is only the art. The being is that art only. So for Ekalavya, it was only archery. There was nothing else in his existence. He didn't know anything else. And he agrees to give the thumb, which means he agrees to give up his own existence. He's brought it to only one thought, archery, and he gives up that last thought of archery. Therefore, the Guru has taken him to realization. It's a highly criticized incident in the Mahabharata. So, first this guy doesn't help him, and then he takes away what he has done on his own. So it sounds just terrible. And of course, if you look at it like that, it is terrible. But if you look at it allegorically, which is how we are looking at all these texts, is the Guru will always help you. I mean, there is no I'm assuming the guru is a real teacher, but a guru will always help. When he said, no, I won't teach you, he helped him. And when he took away his vidya also, he helped him. That is the guru. So allegorically, it means bring yourself to the single pointed thought and then drop that single pointed thought, and then you realize the self. Okay?
Okay, Janki. Thank you.
Momita?
Yeah, Jankiji, about Dronacharya and Eklavya, wasn't Dronacharya a teacher of weaponry? So he was not a teacher for students who were seeking self-realization.
Yes.
So in this case, when he asks for Guru Dakshina, how can he impart knowledge of the of self-realization if he's not that kind of a guru? He's a teacher of arts, a particular art. So according to the story, he is supposed to have asked this of Eklavya because he had promised Arjuna that I will make you the most able archer. And because Eklavya stood as a competition to Arjuna, and that would prove Dronacharya's words false, therefore he asked this. So that's rather petty.
Yeah, that is petty. That interpretation is petty. That understanding is petty, and that action is petty. Everything is petty about it. So either you go with that, in which case you would be right in that thing, or you say that we are reading sacred texts. And sacred texts do not make it so that they're teaching us to do wrong things. If you start on an assumption such as that, then you have to look again. Because all the sacred texts show us all sorts of really awful things. There is a story, these are all deeply criticized parts of it. There's a story of Brahma. Brahma made a very beautiful girl, and he was a creator, so he's making stuff, and he made this very beautiful girl. Then he fell in love with this girl, and he's chasing her. So and she's running for her life because this is her father as far as she's concerned. He's the creator. So it's a terrible story, right? And of course, there are all sorts of interpretations given to this sort of thing. But if you talk, and you have to see it in a culture. You can't take something out in its, what should I say? You have to see things in context. We are now talking about scriptural textbooks. We're talking about a God. We're talking about, something like that. And you have to see it in context. What are these sacred tales telling us? We don't want outsiders to come tell us what these tales are telling us. Okay, somebody from an outside external culture comes in and says, "Oh, you guys are so horrible. You have these horrible tales." It's because maybe they don't get the culture. Maybe they haven't studied Vedanta to understand the stories. So these are texts, these are interpretations which are given. And if you see it in context of them trying to teach you moral lessons or philosophical lessons, then you have to look beyond it. Or not, as the case may be. Some people say, yes, there has to be some further meaning in this. And some people say, no, just horrible, and this is just showing women down and the lower caste down, and everybody's being shown down. Okay, that's an acceptable reading, I guess. But if you see it with some degree of sacredness, then you have to look again to see what does it mean. Now, what you're saying is I'm not answering your question here, Momita. What you're saying is correct. What has Dronacharya to do with realization? He never claimed to teach realization. He was supposed to teach warfare. Now, why is he teaching realization? Why do you even use it like that? But then again, you come back to the culture. In this culture, which called itself Bharat, Bharat means Bharati, reveling in the light of consciousness. So the assumption in this country has always been that whatever you do, it is to find that light of consciousness, to find the self, to find the divinity, to find the truth. Whatever you do, there was no division between the secular and the divine in this country. There was not, these are my materialistic activities, these are my spiritual activities. There is no such division. You are either material or spiritual based on why you're doing those activities, not on which activities you're doing. You've studied this already, so I'm not sort of going into this any further. Now, when he studies archery, or he studies Ayurveda, or he studies music, or he studies sculpture, the end result is always divinity. So you'll see our classical music, our art, our everything is to reach divinity. So every teacher was a teacher of divinity. There was no segregation between the mundane and the divine. Every teacher's job was to take you through your particular vasanas to that divinity. Okay?
Yes, Janki. Thank you. So ultimately, whatever attachments we have, whether it is to our art or anything, I mean, we refine our art because we are expressing the divinity, and then we give up that art because that is the ultimate attachment that we are sacrificing.
Yes, but you don't have to physically give it up. You give up the attachment, not the art.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like if you happen to be an artist, you have to at one time stop drawing or something. Or if you happen to be a singer, you have to stop at one time. Or if you happen to be a businessman, you know, that is your art, to run this business really well. Then it's not that you have to stop running your business. So you can continue doing that work or not, whatever, depending on other circumstances. But attachment is a state of the mind, not of what you're doing.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Sivathas. I thought any teachers of those good old days were aware of the highest goal of self-realization. And by helping Ekalavya remove his last thought of archery, Drona could remove his little left ignorance. That's correct. Yes, that's what we just did, Sivathas. Yes, that's right.
Janki, I have a question
Yeah.
which has been troubling me always, which is that the masters who could see things that one could not even comprehend, why would they not have thought of a system of teaching these things that are not so prone to various interpretations and therefore abuses, and taught things as they were? I mean, why would they make it so complex? And I'm not able to express myself, but I find this entire system very unbelievable.
Yes, Omkar.
As in the example of
I'm
Dronacharya.
sure everybody will understand what you're saying. We all have gone through this. A lot of us have come to study this subject. I myself, when I started, I was like, like what? When I heard Swamiji, I'm like, he said very clearly, you're not the body, mind, intellect, you are the self. So one of my questions had also been, so why didn't everybody else say that? Why are you telling all these stories and confusion you're creating? Okay, you are not the body, mind, intellect, you're the self. Find that out. Full stop. Very clear message. Now, just think about this. When you tell people, and you're not the body, mind, intellect, you're the self, 90% of the people simply leave. Isn't it? You who are trying so hard to get more people to attend class and study and all, what do you find? We tell the message straight as it is. Nobody's interested, they don't learn. All right, so we say, okay, chalo, let us do something else. Let us see a movie, for instance. Okay, we all see a movie together. So we all see a movie together. And then we say, okay, now the movie meant this. And you yourself know what a great success that was. We showed a movie and then we interpreted the movie, and then people said, yes, this is a great idea. Right? So we did that. It was greatly successful and all that, right? Now think of a culture which is thousands of years old, not one or two. They have done multiple experiments on how to communicate this knowledge. Today, as we stand, we have all this multiplicity around us. But the one thing we've lost in most cases is the understanding that you're not the body, mind, intellect, you're the self. We lost that understanding. Now all this multiplicity is there. But when you study Vedanta, then all these stories just become self-evident. Because they were born in a culture. They were born in a culture means a certain understanding, a certain perception of life. They were born in that culture, and they just told it in better and better and more, what should I say, artistic ways and better ways. It will happen even now. Okay, now our class is going on. Oh, well, boring class. Everybody's saying this and it's saying that. It's all boring. Then over a period of time, it will all develop and grow, and there'll be branches and trees and fruit, and whole thing will come. Now think of this culture which is thousands of years old. So there's an ocean of literature. Now somebody randomly picks up one book and starts reading and then says, oh my God, this is so confusing. Obviously, you're not supposed to just pick up any book from anywhere and start reading. You're supposed to go step by step. There are adhikaris. So which level are you at? You have to study the books of that level. You don't just jump here and jump there and do all this nonsense that's going on. And if you do all this nonsense, you misunderstand. Suppose now somebody goes to study uncertainty principle. They will come up with all funny interpretations of that. Obviously, because they went straight to uncertainty principle instead of starting with physics. Okay?
Yes, food for thought here. Thank you so much.
Okay, is there anyone new in class today? Are you all confused? Are you okay? Any new people that I can see? Mohan, are you new? Who else? Zoom user? Who is Zoom user? Are you new? I mean, you don't need to identify yourself. I'm just asking you so that you're clear about what is going on. And if something is not clear, then please speak up and let us know. So where were we in the text? If you remember what we were doing so far, then Arjuna has asked for the Vishwarupa Darshana, the vision of the cosmic form. And when he asks with humility, so Krishna grants it to him, and then he says, of course, you're not going to be able to see this with your mortal eyes. So here, I will give you the Divya Chaksha. I will give that special vision by which you will see it. So in other words, he superimposes a vision on him. And now he has started seeing it, of course. And he has started seeing it. And now we are seeing what all he says. Of course, Sanjaya came in the middle to tell us that this is what Arjuna is seeing. It's all these interesting ways of telling us that we have to look at this whole picture with a different vision. You cannot look at it as that's what is actually happening. Okay, so his last verse, Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna said, Paschami Devam Stava Deva Dehe. O Deva, O God, in your Dehe, Tava Deve, Dehe, Sarvam Stata Bhuta Vishesha Sandhan. I see the hosts of beings, I see all beings in you. This is the growth of spirituality, indicates growth of spirituality when you can see the same self in all. You see everybody as divine. Brahmana Isham, Brahmanam Isham, the Lord Brahma. sitting on his lotus seat. Kamala asana staha. He seated on his lotus seat, Rishim, the rishis, the sages. Then the uragan, the serpents, Divyam. So here he obviously is beginning, so he talks of the creator. Right from the beginning, we are starting. So he sees the creator and he sees the hosts of beings. What are these hosts of beings? There are categories of beings. There are those who are in the heavens. There are those who are the perfected souls on earth. And there are those who are the egoistical, self-centered people here on earth. So we have earthly beings, the ignorant, the wise, and then we have those who are in the heavens. It says, I'm seeing a host of beings, all of them. And the Urugan means serpent. Serpents represents ego. That is why you see the gods are tied and they have this the snake tied to them or a snake on their neck or something like that. It means that they have subdued their ego. So the snake is a very poisonous thing, right? You can put him on your, use him as your waistband. Kamarband, you have put one kamarband of a snake. You can't do that, no? And snake will turn around and bite you or put it on your shoulders. So you can do all these things. But the gods are shown doing that, meaning that they have conquered their ego. This poisonous thing within them is no longer a poisonous thing, but is actually an adornment. It's a poetic way of saying it. That means now this individuality is no longer egoistical, but the individuality is a adornment in the sense that it's beneficial. This person lives up to the name of being a human being, is beneficial to all creatures. He's the jewel in the crown, as it were. So these are the divyan, the ones who've conquered the ego are considered to be the best among people. So that's why they're shown like that. Now so Urugan here means people who are the snakes. They have not conquered any ego or anything. They are there. But they are also called Divyan. You know why they are called Divyan? Because they're Divya. Why are they Divya? Even the egoistical people are Divya. Remember, he's saying everything in the Lord. So obviously he's seeing the serpents in the Lord. So therefore, if they're in the Lord, they are divine, right? Why egoistical people divine?
The self is the substance.
Both of you all spoke together. So what did you all say?
The self is at the core. It is a substratum.
From the self they have come. In the self they exist. And they are also headed to the self. Everybody is divine, regardless of their personal attributes. So he's seeing from the worst to the best, everything in the form of the Lord. Means the Lord is there in everything. So he begins with the top, of course. He's seen the creator. He's going to see Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. He's going to see all of it. Okay, so let us do verse 16. Unikabahudaravatranetram pashyami tvam sarvatonantarupam nantam namadhyam na punastavadim pashyami vishveshwara vishwarupa Anikabahudaravatranetram pashyami tvam sarvatonantarupam nantam namadhyam na punastavadim pashyami vishveshwara vishwarupa. Aneka bahu, aneka udara. Okay, now.
Yes, now we can hear.
Can you all hear anything?
Yes, Janki ji, now we can hear.
Okay. Thank you. So, I don't know where you all disappeared, but let's start again. Aneka bahu, many arms. Udara, stomachs. Vaktra, mouth. Netra, eyes. Many arms, mouths, eyes. Pashyami tvam. Pashyami, I see. Tvam, in you. Sarvata, anantarupam. I see you, anantarupam. Full of so many forms. The wonder of creation. So many forms. So many expressions of our divinity. In the ocean, there is something. A fish is swimming, the blue whale, the most massive thing, and the tiny plankton that it is eating. The sharks, those killing machines, and all the food that it is gulping up. The corals swimming there, the birds flying in the skies, the human beings and other animals on land, the trees that grow to such amazing heights. It's a miracle, isn't it? Like, to think of a tall tree, think how tall that tree is. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth stories, tall trees. How do they transport all that water up to their leaves? They have to take their food up, no? There must be some elevator inside the tree taking all the food up. They got the food from the ground and then they have to carry it somehow up there. So, isn't it amazing? It's a fantastic thing. Just excuse me for 1 minute, please. Okay, sorry. The amazement in all that is going on here. Aneka bahu. Aneka bahu means the fish have their fins and the plants have their branches and humans have their hands. Aneka bahu. Aneka udara. Aneka stomachs. All sorts of different stomachs. Means all sorts of different needs, all sorts of. No, it's a very interesting thing. For us, oxygen is the most essential need. For a plant, it is their waste product. So, plants, we are basically living on the waste product of plants. We think that the plants are living on our waste products, but actually we are living on their waste products. Aneka bahu, aneka udara, aneka vaktra. Many mouths. Imagine different types of mouths, right? How does the amoeba eat? Some of the creatures, they simply surround the food. How does the octopus do this? So much variety, so much variety. The flowers, the bees, different types, no? And aneka netra, aneka eyes, many eyes, different types of eyes. The eyes of the bat are sound. Isn't that an amazing thing? How does a bat know that there is something in front of him? Sound. How do the fish know? How does a shark know where somebody is there dying, or is there something? For miles, they smell. That is their eyes. I mean, that is the way they know their world. So, aneka netra, many different types. They say that if there's one drop of blood in, I don't know, I forgot how much water and how many miles away, the shark will still know. What kind of things? You know, we went on the trail the other day, and the guide who was with us, I mean, we shouldn't call her a guide, she's the expert who was with us. She told us that you go into the jungle and the leopard knows you are there. You may never see the leopard. The leopard already knows whether you're there or not. So it's a very interesting thing. So many different types. Imagine the what is the bahu? What is the arm of the elephant? It's his trunk. So many different types, no? So much variety. Anantarupam, infinite forms. Na antam na madhyam, na punastavad. No anta, no end, no beginning, no middle. Paschami Vishveshwara Vishwarupa. I see no beginning, middle, or end in this thing. O Lord of the universe, O universal form. When we consider our world, is there any beginning? Is there any middle? Is there any end? Where is the beginning of this thing? Where is its middle? Are we in the middle? Are we in the end? Are we in the beginning? There is nothing that we understand. There is nothing that we know. He's saying that the Lord has no beginning, middle, and end. Something that has no beginning, middle, and end. It has to be
Infinite.
Infinite. Anything infinite has to be
Formless. Eternal.
It has to be formless. It has to be all pervading. So please notice boundless, yes. So please notice how he's describing the form. If there is no beginning, middle, or end, then where is the question of form? We can have a form only if you can see a beginning. You're seeing things in it. You're not seeing where this thing is ending. It's just like space. You can see all the stars in it. But where is this beginning, middle, and end of space? Are we in the middle of space? Are we in the end? I mean, where are we? It's a very interesting thing, right? That from where we stand, we look out at space. So everything surrounds us. So we are the middle. But if you were on some planet, in the pillars of creation, for instance, then you would then be the center. I mean, you would see everything around you, right? So which is the beginning, which is the middle, which is the end? This world is inexplicable. Therefore, how can you understand the reality which is there? Is inexplicable. You can't give it a form, you can't give it a name, you can't say this is the way it is, because you really don't know. I see you in endless form everywhere with manifold arms, stomachs, mouth, and eyes. Neither your end nor middle, nor also your beginning do I see. O Lord of the universe, O universal form. So we start, I think we did this, no, last time? The stomach and eyes talk about receipts. Sorry, eyes and mouth talk about receipts. Stomach is our reaction to those receipts. Arms refers to what we do with that. So if you're looking at it philosophically also, then it is the entire cycle of existence, receipt of stimuli, reaction to that stimuli, and then action in the world. So there is, you're currently hearing a stimuli, you're hearing a sound. If you have a good reaction, you'll have some reaction. You say, good, this is bad, this is intelligent, this is not intelligent, whatever reaction there is. And based on what kind of reaction, there will be an action. So either you say, okay, now I had it with this class, I leave, or I love this class, I'm going to attend every class. You take some action, whatever the action is, based on the reaction. Okay, verse 16 clear? Anyone has any doubt, or shall we move on to 17? Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha tejo rashim sarvato diptimantam paschamit tvam durniriksham samantan diptanalarkadyutim aprameyam kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha tejo rashim sarvato diptimantam paschamit tvam durniriksham samantat diptanalarkadyutim aprameyam. Kiritanam gadinam chakrinam. Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam, very famous form of the Lord. Kiritinam with the form, gadinam the gada, chakrinam the chakra. He is seeing tejo rashim. He's seeing this huge mass of teja, of brilliance, mass of radiance. Sarvato diptimantam. Diptimantam, it's shining everywhere. Paschami tvam durniriksham. I'm seeing you, durniriksham. Niriksha, to examine. Durniriksham, difficult to examine. I'm seeing you, but difficult to see. I hope you're seeing the dual note as this goes on. We keep saying, I'm seeing, I'm not seeing, I'm seeing, I'm not seeing. Samantat, from all around, shining like fire and sun. Aprameyam. Uska praman nahi, immeasurable. So you're seeing bhakti, jnana, everything in one verse. So kiritinam. Kiritinam with means kirita, the diadem, the crown. So he is there wearing a crown. Now, why is the Lord always shown? You'll see most of the gods shown wearing a crown. Why? Because it establishes their sort of sovereignty, their kingship over this world. And there's a very famous image of Vishnu. The full image, you've probably seen his image. In one hand, he has a lotus. In one hand, he has a conch. His forearm form, remember, mace and Shankha Chakra Gadadhara. So that's the form he's referring to over here. The conch, that's the Shankha, the lotus, the Gada, and the Chakra. So he's shown with these four things. He's shown with 4 arms and 4 things. So now we just see the form of 4-armed God and holding these 4 things. You can have so many. Where's our Momita? Momita's how many things? You just look at that form, okay? So here is this God. He's got a chakra, a sword disc. He's got a gada, violent God, and he's got a lotus, and he has a conch, and he's got 4 arms. So you look at this and say, this is so ridiculous. The whole thing is so silly. This is how stupidly the Hindus used to worship. 4 arms. Have you ever seen anyone with 4 arms? Why have given God 4 arms? But there is a whole philosophy behind it, which becomes clear when you know the philosophy. So what is a shankha? Shankha is a conch. A conch has a very, very soft sound. Only when you put it to the ear, then you can hear it. So the conch is used as a representative of the conscience. If you listen to the conch, then you reach the lotus. Lotus represents self-realization. So you see all the gods standing in the lotus, because lotus is supposed to represent the truth. So if you listen to your conscience, you reach the truth. Means you reach peace, you reach bliss, you reach a good state. If you don't listen, you get the gada, the nice knocks and shocks of the world. Achhi maar pade. And if you choose not to listen to that also, then what happens? The sword disc comes, the chakra comes in and lets you. So this is true of our life, right? If you listen to your conscience, if you listen to your own understanding of truth, then what will you do? You will eat the right food, do the right exercise, save your money properly. You do all the right things. If you choose not to listen, if you do listen, you do these correct things, then what happens? You reach this lotus, a blissful state, the state of truth, the good consequences of whatever you have done. If you choose not to listen, you get the knocks and shocks. So your cholesterol numbers go up, your weight goes up, you start falling ill, then your doctor will tell you, better start going for a walk. You're receiving the knocks and shocks. Warnings are coming to you. You're on the wrong track. Don't be there. Doctor says, come on, you have to go for a walk. And then if you listen to that, then again you can make your way to the lotus. If you choose not to listen to it, annihilate yourself. Our own actions will destroy us. So this is showing the law of life for individuals, for some communities, for societies. Look at us now, okay? Climate warming is happening. Also, the scientists tell us we're getting a lot of danger signals, no? So many danger signals, but we are not bothered. We are continuing. When COVID was there, when we went up to the terrace, the whole city, you could just see it. It's beautiful. See for miles on end. The whole city of Mumbai. Not whole city, the city is too big. But you could see for miles and miles and miles and miles, so far away. So all the way down south and all the way up north. And all the flares of wherever they're putting those flares. Everything you could see. Now go back up to that same terrace. And again, the whole view has got constructed. So life gives us warnings. If we choose not to take them, we head towards annihilation. We make our way to annihilation. So this is true for individuals, it's true for communities, it's true for the planet, all of it. We always get warnings. It's our time to correct ourselves. If even then we don't, it's too late. Sivatas. how can we listen to the consciousness? I mean, how can we distinguish between the voice of mind and consciousness? Thank you. It's not consciousness, Sivatas, it is conscience. So how do you distinguish between the mind and the voice of conscience is always a difficult thing. But something in you will knows. You just have to trust yourself and try to do what is the right thing. Because largely you will know. There will be some times where you will have a problem, but largely we know. We know, right? Every one of us knows that we should save and invest. Every one of us knows that we should support and encourage our family. Every one of us knows that we should not unnecessarily criticize and judge people, including ourselves. We all know that we must eat correctly, sleep correctly, everything. We know a lot of stuff. It's just that we don't do any of it. 90% of life is like that. And of course, there is a small percentage where we genuinely don't know. In which case, get up in the morning, think about it. Think about it for many days and decide what according to you is right. What is most in attunement to what you think is right. You know, of course, can take help from better intellect or superior intellect. You can appeal to a superior intellect to help you, but work on it and find out for yourself. This is all hard work, you know. That's why people say, "Chalo yaar, do hi kayo kar." But to be genuinely honest with oneself, to do what is the right thing according to you, sometimes takes effort just to find out what is the right thing. It takes a lot of effort for us to find out what is our goal and what is the right way to get there. Okay. All right, so I see you with diadem, mace, and discuss. So he's referring to the Chaturbhuja Roop, which is Shankha Chakra Gadadhara, a mass of radiance shining everywhere. When you become introverted in life, it becomes a mass of radiance. Meaning that everything starts becoming clear as you become introverted, as you're willing to look at the world with a thoughtful eye. Things just start becoming clearer. In a very interesting video I heard by Bill Gates. At some point, he was making these videos and they were somehow popping up on your timeline. A very interesting thing he said. And he said in one of those things that after some time, what you're reading begins to repeat itself. So this is the statement of an introvert. You begin to see that what this person is saying in so many different words is exactly what you have already understood. So after some time, it starts repeating. And it just becomes very clear, the patterns and the pictures, they become clear. It's not that the diversity reduces, but that you start seeing a unity in that diversity. You start beginning to see patterns. So it becomes, the world is coated by radiance, means it becomes clearer to you what's going on. You're not all the time confused about what to do, where to go, what to say, what not to say. You start getting a sort of, let's call it a true confidence, because many people are confident. And they're usually confident out of ignorance. In fact, the more ignorant you are, the more confident you are. But as wisdom starts dawning also, things start becoming clearer and clearer. Have you seen that the most advice is given by the people who know the least on a subject? The most strange thing is there's a party or there is something going on, and then maximum opinion will be given always by the person who knows the least. And if there's somebody who sits quiet, go find out from that person what he thinks. And you might get something useful out of that. So shining massively well. So that's what he's referring to. The radiance, the sun, the fire, all of it refers to the clarity that develops. Okay.